So, this is a bit awkward. My hybrid did not get into the hybrid war at all, huh? Well, only one thing I can do now in this endless misery people call life. It's time for my own mini hybrid war. That's right, if I'm not in the official one, I'll be in the unofficial one, sponsored by me, the king of the kaiju. And luckily for me, I have this comment here that I've been procrastinating on making a video on by making other videos. I have an entire list of video ideas to do, and I've gotten around to this one now. But today is the day. Today, all these hybrids die that were on the comment, right? Or they all die, mine is the best, right? 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 Okay, first things first, go watch my video on my hybrid so you know what it actually is, what a Greta is. And if you're lazy, bite hard, sharp claws, venomous, armored back, armored neck, venomous, thigamizer, venomous, steady stand, venomous, strong muscles, and did I mention she's also venomous? And that's basically what Greta is. Greta is the endo-killing machine of all endo-killing machines. But who is going up against her? Well, first and foremost, meet the new fresh meat. Skyler, created by Skyler Kingley. Yeah, I may have butchered that name. Skyler, made by Skyler. Nah, probably nothing. And to be honest, I'm pretty sure Greta wins this one. Ignoring the venom for a minute, Skyler has the DNA of a Rex, which matches Greta's Rex DNA if it's the real life Rex, because I got a little specific with that in mind. Besides that, Greta has big monkey brain, which beats out the Atrociraptor brain any day of the week. A big problem in here, and the only problem with the actual hybrid itself, is the chameleon DNA, because it's in here for camouflage, and chameleons don't do that. Chameleons change color based on their feelings, and as someone who has had a chameleon, they are very fragile and hard to take care of, which would definitely affect how the hybrid acts and how it fights at all. In a negative way, obviously. It would not be good for the hybrid. But ignoring that, the Giga gives Skyler one of his biggest advantages over Greta, which is his height. Now, I did purposely make Greta a little smaller than the Endo 2.0 because basically the bigger they are, the harder they fall, and also like strategic striking stuff, armored on top, less armored on bottom, all that junk. With that all in mind, I don't think Skyler being bigger is going to be that big of a problem, but he is quite a bit bigger than Greta. And the Carnotaurus does give him some pretty good protection, but as I've said before, Greta strikes hard and fast, so I don't think the law of protection is going to stop a T-Rex bite. And then there's some other stuff that doesn't really apply to this fight in particular, and there's something I almost added onto Greta, the Godzilla. No, not that one. No, I don't think that one's even named the Godzilla. There's a real dinosaur named the Godzilla after Godzilla, obviously. And that DNA was put into Skyler. It is used to give him his sharp claws, but unfortunately for Skyler, I decided not to add the Godzilla DNA into Greta because there were much better options, so his claws are not nearly as good as Greta's. Now, without Greta's venom, Greta has a decent chance at a win, but so does Skyler. They're pretty evenly matched. The biggest problem with Greta winning is the size. Without her venom, the size is a huge issue because she doesn't have something that can, like, incapacitate the giant thing before it takes a bite out of her and kills her instantly. I mean, it's not that big of a size difference where it could kill her instantly, but still a big enough size difference to matter. And it's nature, basically. Big guy eats little guy. So, but that's why Greta is literally dripping with venom. Her whole purpose is the venom. While she can be a pretty decent fighter without the venom, she is made specifically to use her venom and use it a lot to kill whatever she's fighting. And with the cocktail of the world's most venomous creatures in there, Almost certainly, Skyler dies from the venom before he can even do anything to Greta. So Greta wins that one. But next up on the menu is Jack, made by the Indominus Rex 2020 channel. And Jack is a very, very strong hybrid. For starters, I will admit that with the arms of a grizzly bear and the great apes, at the very least, Jack just matches Greta. At best, Jack is absolutely stronger than Greta in every category with like muscle strength. And this thing is also a tank with the armor of a saltwater croc, Ankylosaurus, and whatever this dinosaur is called. I have no clue how to pronounce that name. But with that, Jack would also be less flexible and more slow moving than he would without that armor, which is downside to an upside, which is how stuff usually works in nature and in games and all that junk. And Jack does also have some extremely terrifying claws. They are the result of Velociraptor, a Giga, and a Theros. Wow, I'm really showing I'm not the biggest dinosaur fan. The guy with the long claws from not the last Jurassic Park movie, from Jurassic World Dominion. That's not where I know him from. I know him from Dinosaur Simulator. All those things together create some of the most terrifying claws you can actually have. Oh, I forgot to mention, it's not just those three, because there's also the Grizzly and Spino in there. While these claws are some of the biggest threats to Greta, they are also big, which is a problem. The bigger the claws, the less accurate the attacks. But as you could see if you watch Jurassic World Dominion, just one attack from these claws could absolutely just kill Greta. Jack also has dagger-like teeth, which could also be a pretty big problem. It was also mentioned that it can talk to anything that Jack is made from. This would include Greta and could have been a problem if not for the real-life Greta's DNA in her. Now, unlike Skyler, this thing is literally a kaiju, which will actually be Jack's downfall, or the way he wins, to be honest with you. The bigger they are, the harder they fall, as I said before, but there are two things that does give Greta the bigger chance of winning most of the time. Number one, the size of the beast allows Greta to attack more easily, and number two, the Ankylosaurus DNA makes the underbelly of Jack a little more weak than every other part of him, making it easier for someone who's shorter to inject venom into the underside of Jack. Now, there are definitely fights where Greta just gets slashed to death in one hit or bit in half and dies. In the majority of the time, I believe either Greta kills Jack or it's a tie with Jack killing Greta, but Greta killing Jack with the venom afterwards. And now for the grand finale, introducing the entree of this meal, Mason. Made by Alpha G Productions for some ungodly reason. Now, Mason has the least impressive teeth here, with those of the... Yeah, I don't know how to say that. It's one of the big crocodiles and a saltwater croc. But that also gives it a pretty good bite force. Not as good as a Rex, but still deadly enough. Mason's claws are the ones from the... Okay, don't know how to say that name either. I study film, I don't study dinosaurs. Which still are not as impressive as Greta's, but they are built for digging. For digging. What happens when it's not dirt, but it's flesh? Then it goes and has the arms of a f***ing silverback. And he got the orangutan brain too. Instantly being stronger than what Greta has. Then, along with the orangutan, there's also Crow in that brain too, which I don't think really changes much in the fight. Both Mason and Greta are plenty smart. And you ready for this? Its armor is from a pangolin. Pangolin? I think that's how you say it. I don't know what the animal is. The pangolin? I'm not sure how you say that. And whatever that thing is. Nodosaurus. I probably butchered that name too. How in the ever-living is Greta gonna get a bite without tearing up her mouth in the process? Now, if this guy was massive, yeah, Greta could get underneath him and, kill him with the venom. But that's not happening here. Then, the big surprise, this thing has German Shepherd DNA in it. My dog is part German Shepherd, so Greta, the hybrid, is too. With all of this, Greta and Mason are about even. Greta goes for a bite, good chance her mouth gets all chewed up. Greta's venomous tail could definitely hit Mason, but the venom in her tail is not as strong as her bite. Without any of her venom, it's about a 50-50 chance. With the tail, it gives her just the slightest edge, if she even uses it. She wasn't built to swing her tail around. She only has one thing in her DNA that tells her to do that. She was built to bite, and bite a lot, and that is not a good idea here, at all. So out of all these terrifying creatures, Mason, you win. You have the best shot at killing my dinosaur, Greta. My dog could obviously kill your hybrid, though. Agree with me? Disagree with me? Tell me in the comments. Think I am the worst person in the entire world? Tell me in the comments. Want to violently assault me? Tell me in the comments. Think I am the most biased person on planet Earth? Tell me in the comments. Also subscribe. So, now that that's over, that the mini hybrid war I made because I felt bad about not being in the actual hybrid war is over, who's next? Probably no one. Back in the box you go, Greta. Back in the box.
I don't want to play with you anymore.